Hello and welcome, everyone. Welcome to our next installment of Hangin with Haig. I'm Haig Colter, and with me is Valéry Marchive. Welcome, Valéry. How are you doing today?
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm really good, thanks.
You're good. And just for everyone to know, we are 6 time zones apart. So thanks to the internet, this seems like we're in the same room, but we are quite a distance away. So Valéry, tell us a little bit about your day job. What do you do? And tell us a little bit about your roles and responsibilities.
Well, basically, one of the co-founders and the editor-in-chief of the French online IT B2B publication. And especially covering everything security related with a special focus on ransomware and cyber attacks.
And I understand that this is the most read technical publication in France. Is that correct?
I think you can, I think you can say that.
Okay. And have you always had an interest in cybersecurity to write about it, or did you start in a different path and then fall into sort of covering cybersecurity?
Well, you know what? If we look at something like more than 20 years now, I started by Apple stuff and Macintosh. Mm-hmm. That's really where I started, and I've been covering that and writing. And then we started LeMagIT 2008, and I gradually moved into something like around early. It really started. I mean, the ransomware attacks really started to be such that we needed to have more focus into it. I really started more and more to focus on that.
Interesting. And so pivoting from sort of covering Apple products into malware and sort of the techniques and tactics that the attackers use, some of it is very sophisticated and I would guess difficult to translate onto paper to make it easier for people to understand what exactly the attackers are doing. How do you write about sort of sophisticated attacks in a way that makes it easier for people to understand how the bad guys are doing what they're doing?
Well, that's the good thing in having kind of a double background as an journalist, and I'm trying to explain things to people to make them understand. I fail sometimes, I succeed, but I hope I succeed more than I fail. A technical background. I mean, I studied computer science. I have a master's degree in networking and databases. So I'm not exactly completely.
Yeah. So you have a background that you could leverage to help you with your writing.
Yeah, and I should, if I were completely honest, I should probably add that and a horrible geek full photo.
Okay, so let's pivot away from work for a bit and talk about your life away from the keyboard. I understand that in 2016 there was a fairly significant trip that really affected, I think, your life from that point forward. Can you talk about that?
Yes, absolutely. It was definitely a game changer for me. Ulrike, we were planning our first big trip today. Things had been going smoothly. It was actually intended to be a wedding trip. We were in New Zealand, Mongolia, and Namibia. And back then, flight tickets prices for New Zealand were already very steep. Okay, and it was also a matter of losing losing quite some time on the flights themselves, and already wasting a bit of time for the trip on its own. No way to actually travel in our perspective, or let's put it that way, curious enough or exploring enough, but we didn't see a chance to really self-drive or anything like that. And stumbled upon some options for Namibia, and to go on our first trip to Namibia and Botswana.
And how long was that trip to Namibia and Botswana?
I think the first time it must have something like that. Yeah, 4 weeks. And that you have to imagine you have a 4x4 car, like a Toyota Hilux or something. You've got a rooftop tent, and the he has all the equipment that you need. There's a big water tank, there's a fridge, camping table, some camping chairs. You've got an extra tank as well to improve the range, and you just go there. You just drive yours on your own. You have a bit of itinerary because you've got some site booked for you, so you know where you should be at some point. But it's not you're on.
So your very first trip was a roughly 4-week trip that you self-guided without any kind of Namibian guide to help you navigate going between Namibia and Botswana?
Actually, was planned for us by an agent doing self-drive 4x4.com.
I see.
And that was but on the spot, on the ground, on the field, you have absolutely no guide on your maps, and eventually on your actually. But it's just about, okay, is that track going the right way? Once possibly taking us the wrong way, etc. So it's when you got stuck in the sand.
So you have a car that has extra, I imagine, you said water and petrol, but you must have spare tire, tools. It's worth noting that Namibia is one of the least densely populated countries in Africa. So it's not like you're going from one huge city to another and there are rest stops along the way. We'll show some pictures in a little bit, but it's almost like being on the moon in some places.
Oh, there are places. I mean, there's an area there is. I mean, that's some areas. You really feel like you're. I mean, for the movie The Martian could totally have been shot there. As far as I remember, there are 2001: The Space Odyssey that have been shot in Namibia. I think there is some Star Wars scenes that have been shot there as well.
Yes, it's a stunning landscape. So you spend 4 or 5 weeks on your very first trip. It obviously had a profound impact. You get home, and as I understand it, you start planning a second trip to go right back again.
Yeah, actually, Ricky and I were just thinking, okay, let's go back. But it's just such a magnificent of the world, and such an amazing experience. Let's go all together. We're a patchwork family. We have 4 kids, so decided, okay, for 2018 we're going to plan and organize something with the 4 kids instead of relying on an agent. We decided to do all the planning and all the booking on our own. That's something that we've been working on for to get it all together. We went there with we actually took the kids a bit further north into Zimbabwe, and and yeah, that was a memorable experience for them, and very all of us. We had a great time. I mean, the older one was ovens, as in mud ovens at the campsites, just to while we were camping. We and then after that trip, that was a few months after. I remember that was a Sunday afternoon, and we were just resting, having a quiet time, and I was reading about the Kunene region. That's really the of Namibia, closing into the Angolan border, and me and says, "Don't tell me, I know what you're thinking." And it's back.
So this second trip, though, was another, it wasn't a particularly short trip. Your second trip was like another 5-week trip?
Yes, it was 5 weeks with the kids. Yeah.
Okay, and
absolutely.
now you're talking about a third trip. And so we've jumped from, let's see, 2016 to 18. And now in 2019, you're going back for a third trip to see southern Namibia along the Angolan border, you said?
No, northern Namibia up to the Angolan border.
Oh, north, excuse me.
On that trip, we also went all the way south to the border with South Africa along the Orange River. So we went down to the Fish River Canyon, to then Orange River, and back up north.
And does the landscape change significantly as you traverse Namibia like that?
You've got fairly different areas. I mean, if you go, if you will get to the Kalahari, which is fairly specific, have some kind of low profile dunes of red sand, different than the dunes that you would have on the other side that are along that are the well-known Namib dunes, with which can be very high. I think as far as I remember, the highest is 900 meters high. In some parts, they really feel like you're facing a wall. If you go more like South River and the Orange River, it's more rocky. But at very smooth valleys that are extremely impressive and soothing, basically. If you go above the north, just north of the Namib, the northern border of the Namib and Swakopmund, which are two really pleasant towns, and then you go just a bit north, you will have the Mesum crater, which is said to be basically of the most massive volcano eruption that ever happened on Earth after before the separation, before the Africa and South America. It's just massive. It's an impressive place, and when you get there, that's in this area as well, that you have landscape that could be seen. But you also have a surprising vegetation there, because you have those big plants called Welwitschia mirabilis. They are completely dead, basically, most of the time of the year. But as soon as it rains, and they come back to life.
Interesting.
There is an area which is one of my favorite. It's the brain bed. If you look at it from satellite view, it really has been plugging a cork onto onto the crust of the Earth.
Wow.
And it's basically the remains of an old lava chamber of a volcano. It's fairly big, but flowing from it, you've got the Hura River. It's just beautiful. You have your trees, you have some adapted to it, and it's rocky at the same time. It's got stuck in the mud there once. Not some people who got stuck there 48 hours before they could get rescued and got out of it. It's an amazing and beautiful area.
So that actually gives me a couple of questions. One, you come prepared with a four-wheel drive vehicle, spare tire, spare petrol, spare water. Do you also need like a satellite phone? I mean, I can't imagine there's much in the way of connectivity between cities because Namibia is so sparsely populated.
The 4G coverage is definitely not that bad in Namibia. I mean, we've managed to work from Swakopmund for a week without an issue.
Okay.
But when you're going into secluded areas, you let's say a minimum a sat pager, like an InReach Mini, for instance, for that purpose, just to be on the safe side. Even better, if you can grab a VHS. There are some VHS relays around the country, and it's just a matter of looking and not using it if you don't need it, obviously.
Right.
If you're really in a very bad position, yeah, you might want help.
Yeah. So you talked a little bit about the landscape, and we've spoken about how barren it is and how it kind of looks like other planets. I think one thing most people, especially in the Northern Hemisphere in big cities, won't be able to appreciate until they go to a place like Namibia. Can you talk about the sky at night?
The sky at night is just absolutely magical. I haven't seen anywhere anything that compares. There's no wonder why Namibia is so much loved by amateur astronomers. I mean, the sky is just perfect. There is even from social fly next to the Spritzhorte Pass. There is a observatory, the Hess observatory, that is there, and the farm grounds on which the observatory is built. They saw them 2 years ago. They were working on renovating a chalet for amateur sky gazers and amateur photographs, with all the equipment and all that's needed. So yeah, it's absolutely wonderful, and you don't need much to actually enjoy it. I mean, you can just sit there, enjoy the sight of the Milky Way like you've never seen before. You can very distinctive some galaxies and some nebulas. I mean, an iPhone Pro 13 is already very taking pictures of the sky like that. It's I was amazed myself.
Yeah, it's well, with a very sparsely populated country, and probably very little, if any, light pollution, you can really see the stars. So
absolutely.
You had 3 trips prior to 2020, and then I understand that 2020 other events got in the way of you continuing your long holiday plans in Namibia.
We wanted to go back with the kids in 2020 because in 29 we were, as everybody knows, pandemic, lockdowns, etc. So we postponed it to 2021.
All right. And then
And
how long was the trip in 2021?
5 weeks.
All right. And so you went this time with the whole family.
We went again with the whole family. We went we didn't have the chance to go all the way to the Kunene River and to the Angolan border. So we took the kids all the way there. A very lovely encounter of Himba people. They are absolutely lovely. They were just around using some site that was just closed off, that hadn't reopened after the lockdowns, and they were absolutely lovely. They actually gave us the unfortunate realize how much can be done to improve the access in some areas of Namibia. I mean, their father was wounded. We clinic, as they call it, but basically you can get more care at a chemist in Europe than you would get there, and that's also and that's also when that you don't understand school the same way. I mean, for instance, in teenagers, they were going to school to Ruacana, which is something like 100. You don't commute like that on a daily basis, so they just go there for the fun and well, if they have to live at the same place as a teacher, I mean, the distances, the relationship to services that we see as very different perspective.
So that's actually a very interesting subject. So, we talked about the scenery, but then obviously there are people who live, indigenous and people who live in Namibia, and certainly compared to, let's say, European standards, things like you mentioned, healthcare and infrastructure are lacking. Would you say that a sort of European influence on Namibia has had both good and bad impact then, where there are, maybe more tourism, which is helping bringing revenue into the country, but maybe there is an influence from people who are not native to make changes to people in their own country?
I'm definitely not judge of how Namibians deal with and policies, but we cannot look at it without considering colonialism. I mean, basically, Namibia was where the first genocide of the 20th century happened, of the Nama and of the Herero, and there has well, it took a long time for Germany to accept, to give some compensation, for but tell you that unfortunately what has been agreed on is not necessarily sufficient or adapted, because it will come to the state of Namibia, but the indigenous population that were actually suffered genocide, as in the descendants of the Namas, of the Herero, also called Bushmen. So it's just like with unfortunately every country that and I'm really using that term because whatever Europeans brought to those countries was a fourth of of Europeans to be able to collect and grab natural resources from this country. Have Europe benefit from that?
Yeah. So I do want to jump back to this trip where you went with the whole family, because more than just another 5-week excursion happened. You also had a significant life event. I think that was a surprise to your children as well on this particular trip.
Yeah, actually, 2 hours before it happened, we based by the seaside in Swakopmund, and yeah, the kids were not informed at all. With one of them was just going like, "What? What?"
So who did the wedding ceremony for you?
That was that from the town. That was, I mean, you have to go through all the legal process. I mean, to register and file a request with the Ministry of Internal. You have to have an interview with the officers of the ministry, and good to go. Then you go to the ceremony, and from the town who's legally to proceed for the ceremony. So it was a small ceremony with all of us plus a friend, an old friend of us who was on the trip as well, and that by the beach, and that was a beautiful day.
That sounds absolutely lovely. So we've talked a little bit about the landscape, a little bit about the people. We've shown some pictures with some animals, and I know that you have a passion for photography. Did the passion for photography happen because of going on holiday to a place as stunning as Namibia and Botswana? Or were you a photographer before, and then it was an opportunity to just take amazing pictures because you were in a place that was just so stunning and beautiful and different?
Oh, no, actually, I liked photography. I mean, for ages, with black and white when I was a teenager, and but yeah, photographing Namibia and Botswana and this part of the world gives you an amazing breadth of opportunities. It's constantly different. It's I mean, don't get me wrong. We have a thing, waterfalls, and I'm sure that he finds opportunities to get inspired with for waterfalls. I've got another one who's talent when it comes to architecture photography. Yeah. But when you find a place that you fall in love for, obviously you can just endlessly take pictures of it.
So you said that an iPhone 13 can take great pictures of the sky. When you travel to the countries in Africa that you visit, do you carry a larger camera to do your photography, or has the iPhone camera gotten to a point where you don't carry a larger sort of full format camera anymore?
No, we still have a camera, as in with interchangeable, but we mostly use it now for long distance photography. I mean, that's you don't have a 300 millimeter lens,
Right?
Just doesn't exist yet. But for those smartphones are a big.
Yeah. So I understand that you also support some charities that help animals. Can you talk a little bit about the charities that you support and why you chose them?
Well, first of all, um, they are as them. They're trying to protect the rhinos of Namibia, which is an easy thing. I mean, there is still an issue with poachers.
Yes.
Is really doing their best to make a good job at fighting it. They actually are well known by everyone who's in the OHAB, because they were the one running the there is the Desert Lion Conservancy actually working on protecting desert adapted lions. They live between Cesfontaine and along the Huabi River. And excuse me, I don't have my list anymore. I don't remember what I sent you.
I think the last one was the elephant-human relations.
Yes, absolutely. They are actually very active on Facebook, share about the work they're doing. The thing is that you have to, elephants can be attracted to resources that are humans, okay, which can lead to conflict situation. This the elephant human relations aid is trying to move the direct access to the elephants would seek for in the human world, and to make sure that those conflicting situations don't happen that much. They build, for instance, some points where the elephants would come and drink away from human facilities, but they would still get their water.
Right. So a way to coexist that works for both the humans and the elephants.
Exactly. I mean, elephants, when you stumble upon a group, they are obviously very protective. So if you're not just too curious, aggressive, not and their own need for a sphere where they will feel and not threatened, and of course you put yourself in a situation of danger.
Yeah. I think you probably will be able to speak to this better than I can, but for as big as elephants are, when they walk, how much noise do they make?
Basically none. That's fairly amazing. On our first trip, we slept night through the night, and on the morning after, I'm getting out of the tent, looking at that footstep at the really straight. I'm calling my wife and I say, "Hey, come and have a look. I think somebody came around tonight." Track of the elephant. He probably came around very close to the car, and just went this way, and we just didn't hear it.
Yeah, it's amazing. So you have been to sub-Saharan Africa how many times now?
6.
6. What would you want others to know, let's say Europeans or Americans, people in the Northern Hemisphere, about maybe Namibia or sub-Saharan Africa, that, something to share, that to say that, what it is that is drawing you back over and over again to this same part of the world?
The peacefulness. If you want to get the craziness of our life based in in developed countries. I mean, that's the place. That's the place. It's really, and it's see it. I mean, it's that's where the roots of come from. That's you have some paintings or paint just so old. It's unbelievable. You have traces of life in you cannot imagine. There's some people were just living there. If you thousands of years, and and it's also very humbling because basically, as for geology, is an open book story of our planet. I mentioned the Mason crater. That you have to think that you are in the crater of the volcano of the Earth, while all the plaques were all still stuck together. I have places like Mirabib or the Spitzkoper that basically about massive magma movements that were happening. The plaques were just there, and they were just being growing and layers of sediments cooling down, and then the erosion did work, and we see the insul beds. They were just magma in the beginning. So yeah, it's in you are just you feel like you're at the beginning of it all somehow.
Like the origins of Earth and civilization, almost.
Yeah, exactly. And be just there, sitting there alone in the middle of nowhere, absolutely only relaxing and contemplating all that. It's really about contemplating.
So you've gone 6 times. Is there a plan for a 7th?
Actually, yes.
All right. And when do you think you'll be going?
This summer.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Well, Valéry, it has been a pleasure speaking with you. We like to round out these conversations with a fun fact about yourself. So how about sharing something that most people probably don't know about you?
Listening, okay. If any kids of ours is listening, you can go away, guys. That's you've heard. But yeah, when I was a student, the existence of one subject actually that was I didn't know it existed actually, basically. So to have my wanted, I had to beg to have a 0 mark on that subject so that my average would be calculated and I would be able to have my degree.
So,
yeah, so I
a
beg for 0.
request to fail to graduate.
Exactly.
Amazing. Well, Valéry, again, thank you very much for your time. We will be making a small donation to the charities that we discussed, the Sacred Rhino Trust, the Elephant Human Relations Aid, and the Desert Lions Conservation. Thank you so much for hanging with us. It was a real pleasure. And until next time, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot for having me.